Hello, Facebook family and friends. I'm coming to you and I'm doing a little different thing today. I'm trying to get you to understand why I make these videos and why I have the thoughts that I have. A lot of you probably think that I'm anti-Christian, but I wasn't always that way. I was raised with a very strong Christian background. My mother had us in church every Sunday. We went to Bible study. We were members of the choir. So I was very vested in the Christian church. But there was just something missing, and I couldn't understand. I felt like part of my soul was missing. Well, I never questioned my faith, so inevitably I started to search outside the church for whatever was missing. Inevitably, I started searching, and I thought maybe friends might make me happy. Wrong. Women? Wrong. Money? Wrong. Possessions? Wrong. Then, exhausting all things that I thought could possibly make me happy, I turned back to my faith. I joined the church. I even became an usher. And I had my eyes set on being a deacon. But there was still something missing. And as I looked around and started thinking back, every church that I'd ever been a member of had one reoccurring theme: confusion. And it made me think about something that my mother said. God don't work in confusion. Only the devil does. So it began to make me wonder. But you know, in this age of technology, we have a lot of things that we can use to entertain ourselves. And during some of my spare time, I ran across an app called Top Buzz. And that was pretty entertaining. It used to have a lot of funny videos on there. But then I started running across these videos of these guys dressed up like old-time Hebrews, whatever you want to call them. Well, they would be standing on corners, preaching at people, yelling at people, and I thought it was funny. I really did. I even called them ignorant. Until they started talking about the 400-year curse and being taken back to Egypt in ships, and how Judah was sold into bondage. I was like, wow, that's interesting. So being interested, I said, well, you know what? I want to do research on that. So I started looking up 10 lost tribes of Israel. And I found a number of books. A lot of them I purchased. But all of them had one key component. They always said, hypothetically, this is what could happen. One of them said, hypothetically, the Anglo-Saxons could be descendants of the Israelites. One of them even said the Chinese people could be descendants of the Israelites. But once again, they all said hypothetically. I was really getting frustrated, because the part that frustrated me more is they never gave you their full research of how they came up with these thoughts. So, getting frustrated, I began to pray. And I prayed one night, Father, I am getting thoroughly frustrated. I just want to know the truth. The next morning, I woke up. When I had time, I typed in the same thing that I've been typing in all along: 10 Lost Tribes of Israel. And up popped a book that I hadn't seen before. The name of the book was Scattered But Not Lost. So I looked on Thrift Book and found it. And it didn't cost that much. So I said, hey, what have I got to lose? It certainly cost a whole lot less than the other books that I've read. It took about 3, maybe 4 weeks for it to come in. But when it did, I immediately started reading it. Quickly, I noticed there was a major difference in this book. This book actually used the Bible to prove everything that it was saying. I was amazed at it. And I would take every moment and read that book. I read it 3 or 4 times. And I was excited. Well, this book used the very thing that we use every day, one way, form, or another. Either we read it or we remember things from the Bible. But most people look at the Bible as this is the way that you should live your life, which is what I did. But one of the things that this book pointed out to me, this is a history of people. And using that, I started to look at the Bible differently. But I quickly realized that just reading the Bible was incomplete. I had to go and start looking at history itself. Mostly the Roman history. Because whether or not you know it or not, Rome has more of a part to play in the Bible than you would even begin to believe. You know, the great thing about living in the technology age is you can find out anything that you want if you're willing to do the research. Now, 5.5 years later, I'm sitting here telling you my story and the story of our people and trying to undo the lies we've been told for over 400 years. I realized when our ancestors were born here, there was a reason why they only brought the young here. Because it was much easier to mold a young mind than it was to teach an old person or to change their mind. So that's where the deceit began, at least for us, the Afro-Americans. Today, we are on an endeavor to find out our heritage. Have you ever wondered why we're the only people on earth that can only trace our heritage back to the 1600s? When every other race on this world can trace their heritage back to its origins. But you know, what if I told you there was an easy way that you could trace it back 2,000 years or more? Would you take the time to do so? It's really simple. As simple as picking up a book and reading it. The Bible. As I told you, the Bible is a history of a people. Now, throughout the Bible, there are descriptions and prophecies that speak to only one group of people, us. Starting with the description of our Savior, which you can find in Revelations 1, verse 14 through 15. His feet were like burnt bronze, hair like lamb's wool, eyes like flames of fire. Who does that describe? If you stand and look in the mirror, wouldn't that be a pretty good description of you? Maybe not the eyes of fire, but the others. Because burnt bronze is very, very dark. Also, it describes our captivity. If you go to Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships by way of where I spake unto thee. In other words, pay attention to how I told you you're going to get here. How did we arrive in America? On ships. So it spoke directly to us. It even gives you the length of bondage. If you go to Acts 7, verse 6 through 7, you'll find that information. Now, some of you might say, well, Lincoln freed the slaves from bondage in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation. But I want to point out something to you. Even today, we still have in the Constitution, we are still referred to as 3/4 of a human. Although there are amendments, they never removed it. Besides, would any of you say that we are truly free or we are truly equal? I don't feel that's the truth. Now also, I'm going to point out another thing to you. In 2019, President Trump signed a declaration celebrating 400 years of us being in America. And let's go back to the Bible. Deuteronomy 28. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as an eagle fleeth. Interesting enough, what's America's national bird? The bald eagle. Read Deuteronomy 28 and see if it doesn't seem very familiar to what happened to our ancestors once they were born here. And also, I'm going to ask you to please purchase a book. The book is Scattered but Not Lost by R.A. Headley. You can find it on Amazon, and it's inexpensive, but it's worth every penny that you pay for it. It uses the Bible, as I told you, to prove who we are. But there's a part 2 that's in the works now, because after writing this, the author of the book didn't stop searching for knowledge. He found out that there was more to the story than he even knew. Well, I'm just giving you enough to make you curious and hopefully to do the research. By the way, there's another video on YouTube that I'd like for you to listen to. It's called Secrets of Christianity. This 105-Selling Christianity. You're going to be amazed, but there's one little part in there where it tells you about the crucifixion. Pay close attention to what he says. Once again, I told you I would always give you just enough to make you curious, hopefully enough to make you do research. If you have any questions, each and every one of you, feel free to contact me. But thank you for watching this video, and may Yah bless and watch over you all. Thank you.